Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be discussing the Week 5 power rankings and ranking them to the prior week. Coming in at number 10, we have a team that if you would have told me would be 4-1, I would have punched you in the face and called you a liar. But the Giants have been incredible thus far. You got to give Brian Daboll all the credit in the world. He's on pace to win Coach of the Year right now. I know I said last week that the Giants are fool's gold, but the fact that they beat the Green Bay Packers on a neutral field in London with basically no starting level receivers just shows how good this team really is. The defense is bought in. The defense is what I thought it was going to be last year. And Brian Daboll is one of the top head coaches in the NFL as of this moment. I know we kind of all bought into Joe Judge, but Daniel Jones hasn't looked this efficient since coming into the NFL. So you got to give all that credit to Brian Daboll. The Giants get on the list here at 10, which I didn't think would happen, but here they are. And at number 9, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. They're down one spot from last week. They were 8. Now they're at 9. They probably should have lost this game against Cleveland. Just a complete boneheaded decision by Brandon Staley to go for it on 4th and 2nd, basically on their own 48-yard line. I don't really understand that. I think it was one of the worst calls of the week. And Brandon Staley, I will reserve my opinions about him for a later date. I'm already kind of hesitant about him at best. So I have to see a little more, but we might have to make a video about him later down the road. But they did get the win. The only thing is the Chargers have been just a little disappointing because their roster is really good. They have a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, playmakers all over their football team, but they're 3-2. So I think they should be better, but they're at 9 for now. At number 8, we have the Minnesota Vikings. They are up one spot. They improved to 4-1 this week. Their only loss is to the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. So I could make an argument to put them higher up on the list, but the Minnesota Vikings, they're exactly what I thought they would be going into this year. I picked them to win the division. They're currently ahead atop the NFC North right now. And yeah, they run exactly how I thought they would. The offense looks really good. Kirk Cousins just works as a game manager, distributor, doesn't take any big risks, just gets the ball to his playmakers, and he has a lot of playmakers on that offense, and the defense holds its own. So they jump up a spot. I'm not going to give them too much credit because they did beat the Bears. I know it's a divisional matchup, but the Bears are one of the worst teams in the NFL. But good on them for improving to 4-1. And with the Packers losing, that means they're clearly number 1 in the NFC North. And at number 7, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is the first time I've put them in a power rankings. They didn't make the list last week because they were off 2 brutal losses to the Packers and the Chiefs. But they beat the Falcons this week. They get back on track. They're 3-2. Not too impressive of a win over the Falcons, but they are ahead to atop their division right now. And the thing about Tampa is they usually do get off to a slow start, particularly the year that they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago. They got off to a very slow start. They were like 7-5. You had that mess in Chicago where Brady forgot what down it was, and it seemed like him and Arians just didn't really get along. And eventually they figured it out. So the Buccaneers, they always kind of get off to a slow start in the Brady era, so not really too concerning for me. Obviously, we did have one of the worst calls of the year probably with that roughing the passer call on Grady Jarrett. Nothing wrong about that tackle Grady Jarrett did on Tom Brady. I think that's probably another video we have to make just about that and the Chris Jones call on Derek Carr. But the Buccaneers, they get back on track. They're 3-2 now. They get on the list here at 7. And at number 6, we have the Baltimore Ravens. They are down one spot from last week. That's particularly because I was not too impressed by their win over the Bengals. You know, they were home. They were favorites. They only won because they hit a late game field goal. I expected Baltimore to comfortably win this game. So, you know, it's not the end of the world because obviously they did win. I just think Baltimore is one of the most difficult teams to rank because on some nights they look incredible. Other days they look kind of like mediocre. I don't know what to make of their defense. Again, it's kind of the same thing. They're very inconsistent, but the reason they've stayed afloat is Lamar Jackson. He's still having a phenomenal year, still in the top 5 in my opinion for MVP right now. So they're at 6. And coming in at the top 5, we have the Dallas Cowboys. A statement that I thought would never happen for this year, but here they are. They're up 2 spots from last week. And this is a team I give a lot of credit because, number one, they're obviously one of the most surprising teams. But number two, I love when teams just acknowledge their limitations. They know what they are. Dallas knows that, obviously they don't have a great quarterback who's going to go out there and just take over games. They acknowledge that Cooper Rush is a game manager, and, he just gets the ball to his playmakers. They run the ball a lot, and they have one of the best defenses in the NFL. So they lean into all their strengths. For now, Mike McCarthy, his job security is really good right now. I would say he's not on a hot seat because before the year I was thinking, yeah, Dallas isn't going to be good. Mike McCarthy's probably going to get fired. But they've been really good. Obviously, when Dak comes back, you have to start Dak just because, A, he's better than Cooper Rush, and B, he makes way too much money to be on the bench. So Dak will start when he comes back. But Cooper Rush has certainly made it a conversation. Not that he's a better player than Dak, but the style of the offense is just much more efficient with him. And like I said, the defense is among the best in the NFL right now. And at number 4, we have the 49ers staying exactly at the same spot that they were in last week. The 49ers beat the Carolina Panthers so bad that the Panthers fired their head coach. Obviously, there was a lot more that went into it, but yeah, they absolutely destroyed the Carolina Panthers, and I think there's an argument to be made that the 49ers have the best roster on paper. Their defense is outstanding. I absolutely love this roster. I think Kyle Shanahan is in the conversation for best coach in the NFL right now, and this just kind of proves what I was saying before the year started, is that Jimmy G should have always been the starter for this year. There was no reason to rush Trey Lance into this offense. He's exactly what this offense needs. He's not a Mahomes or an Allen or anything like that, but he does his job very well. They win a lot of games when he plays. So 49ers are rolling right now. They look like one of the best teams in the NFL. That's why they're at 4. And at number 3, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. The reason they're down 1 spot from last week is because I wasn't particularly impressed with their win. They only won by 1 point. This came down to a 2-point conversion by the Raiders that I thought looked good. That's another one of the more controversial calls. Another really controversial call earlier was the sack that Chris Jones had on Derek Carr was called roughing the passer. It's kind of crazy. We had back-to-back days of crazy roughing the passer calls, one on Brady, one on Carr. But I think this game kind of showcased that the Chiefs' defense isn't as good as some people thought it was. When I was making my predictions for the year, the reason why I didn't think the Chiefs would win their division is because I thought their defense would be dreadfully bad. And I think that this game kind of highlights, their defense isn't that good. So they're at 3 for this week. And at number 2, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, still undefeated at 5-0. They are down 1 spot from last week just because it was a close game with a bad team. I don't think the Cardinals are that good this year. It took a missed field goal for them to win the game. However, they still won. They're still 5-0 right now. And I still think they're heads and shoulders above the rest of the NFC. The clear favorite, in my opinion, to win that division or the conference. And I still think Jalen Hurts is a top 5 candidate for MVP right now. So they're at 2. And I said last week it was only going to be a matter of time before the Buffalo Bills would be back at the 1 spot, and it only took 1 week for it to happen, particularly because of how bad they bludgeoned my Pittsburgh Steelers. So I watched this game, or at least the first half. I actually turned it off the second half because it was 31-3 at halftime. I was like, there's no reason to watch this game anymore. It's clearly, it is kind of hard to put into words the gap between the Bills and the Steelers, how good of a team the Bills were that game. They looked like they were playing a college team. They absolutely just smashed us, and they proved why going into the season they were the favorite to win the Super Bowl. Even though TJ Watt is out, I still believed that we had a good defense, but Buffalo really exposed that, particularly the secondary. Gabe Davis had the best game of his career here. I think he had like 200 yards or something like that. So the Bills, they get back to the number 1 spot. We all knew it was just a matter of time. Josh Allen might be the favorite to win MVP now. Last week I was kind of arguing it should be Mahomes, but it's probably Josh Allen now after just that dominating performance. The Bills sit at 4-1 right now. But that's it for the Week 5 power rankings. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more videos and like and subscribe. Thank you.